welcome to another of my record store visit rewind videos, or whatever the hell I'm calling it. Today we're going to talk about a shop that I visited in July 2018 in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, called The Last Stop. I think it's called The Last Stop CD Shop officially. But that summer I was working in Utah, and when the job ended, a lot of times I don't rush to get home. I'll sometimes try to take a little road trip before I head home. I rented a car and I drove up through Wyoming, then over to South Dakota, down to Nebraska, and then worked my way back to Utah before I went home. So when I was in South Dakota, I looked up to see if there were any record stores nearby where I was staying for the night, and found The Last Stop and went over to visit. And really cool store, kind of spacious, lots of good stock, prices pretty good. Now it turns out the day I was there, I saw that they were having a sale, 50% off, and I'm over there in the CD section and pretty much by myself, and it's like a Saturday probably, and the store's crowded, but everybody's in, like, I think the DVD section or the video game section, and I'm kind of, you know, in no man's land by myself in the used CD section. So something seemed a little odd. And when I picked the stuff I wanted to buy and I went up to the cash register, the girl working there informed me, because she realized probably I maybe had misread their sale information, and that the 50% sale did not include CDs. She sort of gave me a chance to get out of purchasing these CDs that I picked up, but you know, it was like, whatever, I'm here, let me just buy them. But you know, there were definitely a couple of them that I was kind of just picking up because I was thinking in my head 50% off. Yeah, that's not bad, and grabbed it. So whatever. But it was cool to go to the shop, and it's always great to go to these places when I'm on the road, and places that I may never visit again, to just check out what they've got there and maybe pick up some stuff. So without further ado, let's see what I picked up at The Last Stop. From 1994, we get Material Issue and Freak City Soundtrack. This is their final studio record. Unfortunately, their frontman, Jim Ellison, committed suicide 2 years after this album was released. This was a really good band. I have their debut, International Pop Overthrow, which is, if you don't have that, you have to get it. I mean, if you like alternative rock, pop, you know, guitars, it's like almost a perfect debut. I mean, I love that record. I mean, every song is great on that. So when I saw this there, I decided to pick it up because I didn't have anything else by Material Issue, so I figured I love that first record so much. Let me grab this one. And I remember my first listen to this, I was a little underwhelmed. It's grown on me a bit. There's quite a few songs on here that I really kind of like quite a bit. You know, I don't think it rises to the level of that debut, but it's still full of a lot of really good, catchy tunes. Some of the ones that I dig on here are Going Through Your Purse, Kim the Waitress, Funny Feeling, Echo Beach, and Help Me Land is really good. They've got some pretty good collaborators or guests on this too. Rick Nielsen of Cheap Trick guests on here, which is funny because when I was listening to this, a lot of it sort of reminds me of Cheap Trick. You know, Chip Z'Nuff of the old heavy metal band Enough's Enough is on here, and also Gilby Clarke makes an appearance. So pretty good record, you know. I like I said, I kind of wasn't crazy about this the first time I listened to it, but it's grown on me quite a bit. I really like it. And it's sad that this is kind of the end of the band, unfortunately. 1975, we get the best of Leonard Cohen. This actually has been reissued in 2009 and titled Greatest Hits, and they added a bunch of his newer material to it, but this is the original version that came out in 75. My introduction to him, I believe, was probably the song Suzanne. I didn't really know too much about him. I really loved that song Suzanne. I saw this at last stop and just decided to pick it up. It seemed like something you'd maybe want in your collection. So many people speak so highly of him, so I just decided to take a crack. And I mean, where better to start than like a best of collection. But besides Suzanne, which is on here, some of the other tunes on here I really like are Chelsea Hotel No. 2, So Long Marianne, Who by Fire, and Famous Blue Raincoat. Really good, really good CD. I really like this. I like a lot of his stuff. It's kind of a good, like, kind of storyteller, similar to somebody else coming up a little bit later. And here's my receipt from last stop. I was there July 28th, 2018 at 11:26 a.m. people. I spent a while there, so I must have got there at like 10 or something. But like I mentioned, I thought these were going to be 50% off, but these CDs, most of which are used, this one I think was brand new. Most of the other ones were used. They were in the like $7 to $8 range, which is a little more than I would usually spend, but you know, they had a really good selection of stuff, so you know, whatever. 1987, we get the self-titled debut from Tapao, who, if you remember them at all, you know them from the song Heart and Soul, which went to number 4 on the Billboard Top 100. And I remember that summer having a bet with my assistant manager at the movie theater I worked at that it would go to number 1, and I was wrong. I lost that bet. But that was it for them. I mean, they are essentially a one-hit wonder in the United States, but this album, which was actually titled Bridge of Spies in the UK, did really well and had multiple hit songs from it, one of which spent like a month or something at number 1, China in Your Hand, which is a really good tune, and I'm surprised it made no charting appearance whatsoever in the United States. Some of the other tunes on here I dig. Friends Like These, Bridge of Spies, of course, the title song. You Give Up was really good. I mean, a couple of these tracks, some of it may sound a little dated. This was produced by Roy Thomas Baker, who did a lot of work with the Cars initially. But a lot of the tunes on here, like I said, they might sound a little dated, but at the time it's surprising that they weren't hits. They didn't have more singles released in the United States or have more success in the United States, because some of them you're just like, how was this not like a single? At least, you know, maybe not like top 10, but like charting, you know? It's just surprising that nothing else they released from this album charted in the United States, because they're very catchy, kind of, you know, that top 40 pop sound to them, a little bit of guitars here and there, but it's surprising, you know, that they didn't have more success here in the United States. 1978, we get the Dictators. I believe this is their third album, Blood Brothers. I have their debut, Go Girl Crazy, which is really good. Then that was all I had by them. So again, like some of this other stuff, I saw this there and decided to grab it because I didn't have anything else by them. And it's a good record. You know, the Dictators, punk, kind of that garage rock, you know, real like kind of basic guitar sound to them. You know, fun band. Like a lot of times some of the songs are kind of fun and catchy. I really like this one. I think I actually might like this one a little bit more than Go Girl Crazy, to be quite honest. Some of the tracks on here I really dig. Baby Let's Twist, The Minnesota Strip, What It Is, Stay With Me, which I think that's my favorite tune by them. And then Faster and Louder, which starts off the album. And it's funny, I was reading something online about this album and about that song, and it says that Bruce Springsteen was a huge fan of this band and actually counts off the beginning of the album, counts off that song, like 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. And I listened to it after I read that, and I'm like, it doesn't sound like him at all. I mean, not even a little bit. So I don't know if that's, you know, true or like a rumor or somebody just put it on the internet and it's BS. But if it is, it's odd because, like I said, it doesn't sound like him at all. But, you know, whatever. A little bit of interesting bit of trivia. 2013, we get Vampire Weekend and Modern Vampires in the City. I have, I believe, all the Vampire Weekend records, and they all come in these like outer sleeves, which is cool but kind of pointless. But cool album cover of this foggy, smoggy New York City. I guess it's a famous photograph from New York Times. But this record is their third record. I really like the first two, and I kind of hesitated on picking this one up. I'm not crazy about it. It's okay. I mean, I was reading that people really were really going crazy over this record, and it went to number one. I might have won a Grammy as well. They kind of veered away from their original sort of African influence sound, kind of changed it up a little bit. I don't know if that's why I'm not crazy about this record, but it's okay, but I don't know. I just feel like the songs aren't as strong as the previous two records. The only ones that really kind of stood out to me on this were Diane Young and Ya Hey was not bad, but okay record released by these guys. I have their follow-up to this, which came out years later, called Father to Bride, and that's another one I haven't really dug into too deep. I've listened to it a little bit, but I really haven't kind of decided what I think of that one yet. And finally, from 1977, we get the best of Lou Reed, Walk on the Wild Side. And I can remember hearing Walk on the Wild Side going to school. I don't even know what grade I was in, really young, but our bus driver had the radio on, probably like some kind of classic rock station or whatever. I remember hearing Walk on the Wild Side back then, and great songwriter, really good kind of storyteller, much like Leonard Cohen. He really kind of paints a picture for you with his lyrics. I only have one other album by Lou Reed. I had Berlin, so I decided to pick this up. Thought it might be a nice little collection. It's decent. I imagine there's probably a better version of this now, that he's passed away and, had other records after this came out. Not a bad little collection. There's a couple of live tracks on here as well. I have all the Velvet Underground CDs, and a couple of digital tracks that I picked up by Lou Reed, but just these two CDs I have by him. But he does Sweet Jane and White Light, White Heat are live on this. Then you got Satellite of Love, which is really good. How Do You Think It Feels, I really like. Obviously, Walk on the Wild Side. And Coney Island Baby's not a bad track too, but pretty cool. And these initial best ofs, they don't really have any information. It's not like a nice thick booklet with all kinds of liner notes or anything like that. I imagine a more recent version of a best of Lou Reed probably has some really cool liner notes and stuff, but not a bad pickup. So that's my score, or whatever you want to call it, from Last Stop CD Shop in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. By all means, if you're ever in that area, you should check it out. If you've been there, I would love to hear your take on the place and some of the stuff maybe you picked up. It'd be kind of interesting to kind of compare notes, so to say. I appreciate you watching. Please like and subscribe and all that, and we'll see you next time. Take care.